Hello everyone, my name is Xiaodong Yue. I'm a professor at Capital Normal University. Welcome to my course on personality psychology. Today's topic is on critiques of Freud theories. And we're going to talk about two critiques of Freud theories. One of them is Alfred Adler, the other is Carl Jung. Let's look at how they broke away from Freud and how they went on to develop their own theories of personality. First, let's look at how did Alfred Adler break up with Freud. And we have to start with his life stories. Now, Alfred Adler did not have an easy childhood. Let's look at his early life physical sufferings. And he got a severe asthma and tended to get cold easily. And he used to be physically small and thin and weak as a boy. And he suffered from malnutrition and was often forced by asthma to sleep sitting up in a chair. And he developed rickets, and which kept him from walking until he was about 4 years old. And he nearly died of pneumonia at age 5. Not only that, he also suffered mental sufferings as a child. First, his jealousy and bitterness against his older brother. And he could not do the things his brother did because he was so fragile, and this made him feel inferior to his brother. And a poor academic performance. Adler felt inferior at school, and he was particularly bad at mathematics. And he was never a high-achieving pupil. And Adler's father threatened to remove him from school and apprentice him to become a cobbler. On top of this, Adler has difficult relationship with his brother, which is also called Sigmund. It's called Sigmund Adler because his brother was healthier than him, and he was taller than him, and he was more clever than him, and he was more favored at home, and his brother was more achieving than him at almost anything. Besides, his brother was mean to him, his brother was superior to him, his brother was domineering to him, and his brother was more supported by his parents. So Alfred Adler, so poor Alfred, he has been living in the shadow of his elder brother throughout his life. How miserable and unfortunate that is. And according to Alfred Adler himself, my eldest brother was the only one with whom I did not get along well. After all these years, and here I give the Chinese translation. 我大哥是我唯一不能很好相处的人，说得多悲催呀！ And besides, what did Alfred Adler's brother share with Alfred Freud? They were both called Sigma, and they were both well developed as a child, and they were both pampered by their parents, and they were both high achieving at school, and they were both successful in their own career, and they were both bossy and authoritarian to younger siblings. Now, you see the photo, and you can see Alfred Adler's love-hate relationship with the two Sigma. In such a way, you could imagine Adler would have natural transference of his hatred for his brother onto Sigmund Freud. because they shared too many things that would be suppressing to every Adler. Remember, in last talk, we talked about the transference that people might have out of their miserable experiences as a child, and definitely in Adler's case. And even though Freud and Adler were initially associates, and they developed together the Vienna Society of Psychoanalysis, and Adler used to be the chairman of the society, but Adler often upset Freud, what is called combative stance, as Adler was often critical of Freud's viewpoints. It is often provocative of his ideas, and Adler was often competitive in front of Freud, and above all, Adler often challenged Freud's authority. So naturally, they would break away. After they break away, Adler went on to form his own group. Initially, it's called a Free Associates Society, and later on, he changed to individual psychology. Why I have said all of this about Freud and Adler? Well, you need to realize their conflicts really made an influence, made an impact on developed personality psychology, particularly for the introspective domain. And finally, I want to show you this. And this is how Freud once commented on Adler. He said, "It is not the scientific differences that are so important. It is unusually some other kind of animosity, jealous, or revenge that gives the impulse to amenity. The scientific differences come later." You can see how much hurt Freud was towards Adler, as much as Adler felt very much hurt by Freud's arrogant and authoritarian attitudes toward him. And this is how they despised each other. And even when Freud was informed of Adler's death, he would say this bitterly, "I don't understand your empathy for Adler. For a Jewish boy out of a Vietnamese suburb, a death in Aberdeen is an unheard of a career in itself and a proof of how far he had gone on. The world really rewarded him richly for his service in having contradicted psychoanalysis." You can see Freud really hated Adler for challenging him so bitterly or so thoroughly. And whereas for Adler, it was reported that in 1929, he showed a reporter with the New York Herald a copy of fainted postcard that Freud had sent to him in 1902. He wanted to prove that he has never been a disciple of Freud's theory, but rather it's Freud who initially sought him out to share his ideas. Okay, this is the stories between them.